I have the honor at GreenBiz of thinking about corporations and how they use innovation in their work, in their sustainability work. And I am so excited for this conversation because two of the companies I talk to a lot are Google and Microsoft. They don't use technology just to serve an end. They're also looking at this as a way of innovation for their companies. It is my pleasure to introduce to the stage the Chief Sustainability Officer of Google, Kate Brandt, and the Chief Sustainability Officer of Microsoft, Melanie Nakagawa. Please join me. It's a long walk.
It is a little bit of a walk.
So I think one of the places I want to start was just a little backstory, because I think many people think of Microsoft and Google as rivals, and you are in many ways. But the two of you have known each other for quite a long time, and you also talk a lot. And I just wanted to explore that.
Please try again.
My iPad is speaking with me. That's not going wrong. But basically, I wanted to just explore that a little bit. You talk frequently. You just penned a really interesting op-ed on women in sustainability and leadership. So what is the value of this collaboration? Let's just start there, and I have one other question on this for you, too. I'll start with you, Melanie.
Sure. I mean, yes, Kate and I go way, way back. And I think the value of the collaboration is, one, we can learn so much from each other. I'm actually relatively new into this space. I recently joined Microsoft earlier this year. And so, my first call was to Kate to basically say, hey, in this world of CSOs, like, what should I be learning about? What do I need to know? And there's been this growing group of us. When I was in Europe earlier this year, I learned that there were like 60 people with this title in this conference I was at earlier. And so I think it's really, the collaboration is just helpful in knowing that we're on a shared journey together. We have a lot of the same challenges, and there's a real value in trying to tackle these challenges together.
So I'm curious, what one thing did Melanie pull off that you wish you had accomplished or that you really admired?
Yeah, I mean, I've been so thrilled to see you come into this role since we go all the way back to college. So we've known each other for a really long time and spent time in DC together. And I've admired your career so much and all the incredible work that you did in the Senate and at the State Department, in private equity, and then, of course, just your most recent work at the White House, especially on Ukraine, just such powerful work. So I've been thrilled for us to have this ongoing conversation about, like, how do we translate that time in Washington, that time in the public sector, into corporations like Google and Microsoft, and also how can we be stronger together? I feel like every conversation you and I have, ultimately we come back to, you're doing this, we're doing that. How do we bring ourselves together to drive more progress more quickly? And I think that's exactly where we are. We've set ambitious goals as companies, as nations. Now we need to roll up our sleeves and get it done. Pledges to progress, I think is exactly what you said. So I'm thrilled that you're in this role, and I think there's a lot more we're going to get to do together.
I think, too, I don't know if everyone knows this about Kate, but the other place we have something in common that I really admire, too, with Kate is our work in national security.
Yeah.
Again, to this audience who, we won't do a poll of who's a policy person or a climate person or an energy one or water or waste. But our backgrounds are also in the national security field, Kate coming in from DoD and the Navy. And so the idea that these are real, sustainability is not just an environmental imperative, but it's a security imperative. And there's just different ways to view this problem, this challenge, and create opportunities from it. And I think Kate has really been pioneering how do you bring sustainability into rooms where it hasn't been top of mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you're collectively spending billions, and I'm not going to name the numbers because you have different focuses of that money, but what has been the impact of that? What is it the goal, the strategy behind the investments? Like let's take the fund first.
Sure. So for those that might not be familiar, Microsoft has the Climate Innovation Fund. It's a $1 billion commitment to invest in innovative technologies to scale markets. The impact of the Climate Innovation Fund, which as of, I would say today, around $700 million of that fund has been deployed into really innovative solutions and technologies, has a twofold purpose. One is, how does it deliver impact for Microsoft's own operational commitments, whether it's around building materials or sustainable aviation fuel, but how is it delivering impact to support our own growth? But then secondly, how is it delivering impact for the world in terms of creating new markets where there haven't been these markets, and also how are we helping to support, embed into that strategy, climate equity, so investments in things like block power, that's helping to work in, bring bring energy efficient technologies into more urban environments. But really, how do you leverage that catalytic impact from what is a corporate fund, but that's so much more outsized than our four corners of our strategy?
The structure of your investments has been somewhat different than that.
Yeah.
Lots of grant programs. And so explain to me how that fits the overall strategy at Google.
Yeah, the way that we look at it is we've set ambitious goals for our own operations, how we want to look as a business by 2030, 24/7 carbon-free energy across all of our offices and data centers. And so embedded in there is a huge amount of investment in clean energy projects, in innovation, and in partnerships. And then furthermore, we like to look at how we support the broader ecosystem, be that NGOs, nonprofits, as well as startups. So just to kind of briefly dive in there, for us, as we look at 24/7 carbon-free energy, this is a space where, between 2010 and this year, we've invested in 80 projects around the world, 10 gigawatts. By 2040, that looks like about $10 billion in terms of what that commitment is. But in addition, we really want to keep driving towards innovation. And so for us, that's expanding beyond wind and solar. That's backup battery storage, like at our data center in Belgium, where we did that in a pioneering way, or partnering with innovative companies like Fervo, who are advancing enhanced geothermal technologies. And of course, it's also partnerships. And one of the places where we've come together in great partnership with Microsoft is around the 24/7 Compact. This is an initiative we helped found with UN Energy a couple years ago, where we're bringing together companies as well as cities and federal governments to say, how do we drive this change together? And then beyond that, in the NGO space, there is so much opportunity to unlock innovation, especially through AI. So whether that's grants to the World Resources Institute to enable them to address extreme heat through AI, or our Google for Startups Accelerator program, where we've had 5 classes now focused on climate and circular economy, enabling startups to work with us to think about how they deploy technology, how they advance the whole ecosystem. So we really think about it as we all need to drive this progress together.
Yeah. I want to actually, before we move on to AI, because I do want to spend time there, Microsoft has also, you're deploying geothermal. Have you made any geothermal investments that you're aware of?
So we've used the Innovation Fund to work in this space, but also we have a geothermal asset on campus that I think you might have seen when you were there. But we have a thermal energy center that is part of our new building renovation campus that's on the east side of Seattle. And it really is just trying to showcase for our employees, but also for others, how is the Microsoft footprint a living lab for innovation when it comes to demonstrating and piloting new technologies, both on our campuses, but also through our own corporate investments, as well as through the investments through the fund. And really thinking through, it takes a range of energy solutions. It's not just going to be geothermal. We also, earlier this year, announced an investment into fusion power technology for the first, exactly, with Helion. And so it's really just thinking about what is the large sources of power and carbon-free power that we're going to need for not only our 2030 targets to be carbon negative, but even out to 2050. And it's a mix of energy solutions. So how are we helping to spur those markets around that so we can meet these commitments in the time frame that we need?
Right. Artificial intelligence. Had a tutorial yesterday morning, packed. Everyone's trying to sort this out. So what role do you think artificial intelligence, or what role is it playing now?
Yeah.
It's already playing quite a role, actually, in your strategy.
Yeah, so we have been an AI-first company at Google now for 7 years, and the approach that we take is we want to look at how can we be both bold and responsible in using AI to address some of the world's greatest challenges, and climate is a huge opportunity for AI. BCG released some research not long ago that showed that by 2030, AI could actually contribute 5 to 10% of the emissions reductions that we need to get to by the end of this decade. So clearly there's an opportunity. And as we've begun to dig in and really look at where are the places where AI can have the most impact, I would name 3. The first is around information. We're always looking for ways as an information company to unlock information to enable people to take action. There's tools like eco-friendly routing. You may have even used Google Maps to get here today and seen that little green leaf. In the background, we're using AI to tell you what's the most fuel-efficient route if it doesn't already have a similar ETA. And that's already saved people about 2.4 million metric tons of CO2. That's like taking about 500,000 cars off the road for a year. Also, optimization is the second area. This could look like the work that we've done with American Airlines and Breakthrough Energy on contrails. So I'm sure you've seen, those little white wisps behind jets in the sky. That actually composes about 1/3 of the global warming impact of aviation, which we know is a very hard to abate sector. And so there we've been using AI to better understand contrails, why they occur, and then to reduce them by about half in these pilots that we've done with American. Then the last space that I know, Melanie, we were just talking about a moment ago, is around early warnings. How do we use AI to get better information in the hands of people and communities when they're going to be in harm's way from extreme weather? And we're doing that especially in the area of riverine flooding, giving 460 million people around the world in over 40 countries information 7 days in advance about flooding. So those are some of the big opportunities that we're seeing.
I love this talk because, between what our two companies are doing, there's such a incredible, I hope you all leave here really feeling inspired about the opportunity set. So I'm going to add a few more examples to the mix to really get people's minds thinking about what does this opportunity set look like around AI. So for Microsoft, we are a data company at the end of the day, and it's really about thinking through, for us, AI is, what gets me excited about it, it has the potential to let people learn faster, discover more information faster and quicker than ever before, and bring in timelines for discovery of all the different types of things. It's also about a way to, when it comes to climate change, this is about a race against time. Like that is the biggest fight that we are facing. Can we go fast at the speed we need in the right time frame? And so one of the things that we've done as a data platform is to come up with a product, the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, which is allowing the use of AI, but also using that AI attached to large data sets to help companies better understand decisions. If say you're a retail company, how do you decide what material to use, or what's the carbon content of various material choices you can be making, but really getting those insights through the data into the key people's hands who are making those decisions. Wherever you are in the company, it gives you the opportunity to know, picking this material and other, or doing a what-if analysis. That's one of the offerings that we have within the product side. The other part about AI that gets me really excited is around what it can do as well. So there's an aspect of, Kate mentioned 3 examples, I'll add 2 more to the mix. One is around water. Something that's near and dear to my own heart. Microsoft has a commitment to be water positive, along with being zero waste and carbon negative all by 2030. And in that water positive commitment, it's about investing in innovative technology solutions around water. One of the stats that I heard recently was that 30% of water is lost to basically waste and leaks. And so what can we do about that space? So we invested in a company called Fido Technologies, which is using AI and acoustic systems to help detect leaks in municipal water systems and stop those leaks, which then help companies, but also municipalities, deal with water replenishment and have access to more supply of that water so it's not getting wasted into leaks and things like that, which is so fundamental and key. Another example to give is one that I would talk about when it comes to, I mentioned the data aggregation, there's the water component, and then the third area for AI that I think is really interesting is around farmers and how you can get that insights on farms. Farms are quite large. Rather than having to walk the farm, how do you help farmers take those insights and grow more crop per drop? And that's another way to use those AI insights from satellite imagery to on-farm ground information. How do you help farmers do more with what they have using this kind of technology and get more production into the world? And so there's just, hopefully they're not top of mind for all of you, but they will be when you walk out of this room, of what the potential is for AI solutions to catalyze sustainability.
One follow-up here, though, in this tutorial as well, the point was made that it's not just the quantity of data, it's the quality of the data. So how are you taking time to make sure that the data's right and also that it's not biased?
Well, one area, though, is actually through our work on responsible AI, which is actually something that we're doing collectively with not just Google, but other partners through our responsible AI work and the Frontier Forum, is to ensure that there are safeguards attached to how we're gathering this data, and there's guardrails applied to the responsibility around the AI data that we're putting together. We're also working in initiatives like the Carbon Call, which is just calling for a standardization and an interoperability of methodologies so we can all count a ton of carbon the same way, that the bean counting is done in the right way, and that's interoperable around the different standards bodies that are out there. So we all have a common framework to address these things.
Yeah, and I would just add to, we as an information company think a lot about how do we organize high quality information and make it really accessible to people. So one initiative that I'm particularly excited about is something called Data Commons. This is a project that was founded by Google, and really the ultimate vision is to be for public data sets. So these could be data from the UN, from federal government entities. How do we better organize public data to unlock its potential and make it really useful to people? And what we've done with Data Commons is we already have 200 public data sets, but you had to be fairly technical to be able to access them. Now we've added a chat function, an LLM function on the front of it. So now you can go query public data sets from climate models to agricultural data to population data and ask questions in a chat-like function. And so we're really excited about those opportunities to take high-quality public data and then to really unlock it so we can drive more action more effectively.
We won't go down the path of the energy and AI right now. We'll put a pin on that, and we'll definitely be following on that later. I have a lightning round for you. So maybe you've already answered this question, but what climate tech has the potential to have the biggest positive impact in your work? Melanie.
I would say it takes multiple solutions, but if I have to pick one, I would pick transmission. I think the work that needs to be done, we have access to the energy systems around the world. There's plentiful amounts of renewable potential out there, but it really is that interconnectivity of the transmission systems that I think is a really important unlock for making sure that we hit our 100-100-0 commitments on clean energy and carbon-free power, but also to reach our carbon negative targets.
Yeah, and I would similarly build on that and say, what we see through research is that digital technology is especially powerful for unlocking decarbonization in energy systems as well as transportation. So you just addressed energy, Melanie. So to pick up on transportation, we're seeing that in some economies like Germany, digital technologies could reduce the footprint of transportation by up to 70%. So that's solutions like what I was just talking about with optimizing routing, that's giving people better information about public transit. It's also work like what we're doing with cities through Project Greenlight to help better sequence traffic lights through the power of AI to reduce starting and stopping events, which reduces emissions. So I think in both energy and transportation, digital technology, especially AI, are going to create major breakthroughs in decarbonization.
What tech do you think we most underappreciate or haven't spent enough time talking about? I'll start with you this time, Kate.
Yeah. I am a huge proponent of energy efficiency and demand response. They're not as sexy as some of the technologies we've been talking about, but they are very powerful. They have a great business case. And we've been working on this at Google, both in our own operations with our data centers. Data centers use quite a bit of energy, and so the more that we can shift loads of non-urgent tasks, either to times of day or places where the grid is cleaner, or just to relieve pressure on grids, we're beginning to do that in grids around the world, and that kind of demand response we're also enabling people to do at home through their Nest Learning thermostats, through Nest Renew, where they can actually do more work in their homes at times of day when the grid is cleaner. So I think I'm a big believer in the power of demand response and energy efficiency.
I'd say you framed it as underappreciated?
Yeah.
Underappreciated. I would say carbon removal. No clapping for carbon removal. Thank you. So I would say carbon removal in the sense that we fundamentally, not just we, the IPCC says it is fundamental to reaching any of these global commitments that the world has set. It's going to require carbon removal, high quality, high durability carbon removal. And I'd say it's underappreciated because there is a market that is nascent and it's beginning to grow in this space. And we are really eager to see more companies, more governments and others join into the carbon removal market area. The methodologies are being developed. Microsoft's been a leader in developing a carbon removal market where there hasn't been one, and we've been really keen to bring others with us. We've published 3 white papers that are very detailed in terms of how we did it, who we did it with, the methodologies we applied, all those details. And so I think it's underappreciated in the sense that we really want to see this market grow, and until you get more people playing in this space, it won't get to that growth that we need it to be. So I would call it underappreciated because I think people haven't really fully understood this is a vital component to corporate commitments and frankly to the planetary goals that we've set.
All right, we're wound down, but I'm going to give you each a few moments to say, in the spirit of collaboration, what final advice would you have for the sustainability people in the room about how to use climate innovation in their own organizations? Kate.
Yeah, I'll just touch on 3 things. We recently did a study with Harris Poll where we talked to a bunch of CXOs, leaders across companies, and we asked them about what would it take for them to accelerate sustainability in their organizations. And 84% of them said it's really important how you organize yourself inside the company, that you have clear strategy, clear governance, and ideally a leader who's driving that work across the business. So I think that's a really important ingredient. The second is to very much not see this work as only about how you operate your business. That's critical, that's table stakes, but it's also so much about the opportunity space. We've both talked about how are our businesses thinking about new products and solutions? Every company can do that. So sustainability really needs to be brought into business strategy, into product strategy. And then the last one, we were talking about this backstage, is we need all skill sets in the climate movement. It is so critical, from designers to communicators to engineers. And so how do we bring even more people, even more skills into this movement so we can do more together more quickly?
I would say that first and foremost, to hit all those pieces, one of the key sort of table stakes to that is skilling. And so how are we actually working to skill the workforce at all stages, both in undergrad, grad programs, and then even in executive programs, to have the sustainability skill sets and knowledge to bring to whatever job they are, whether it's a designer, an engineer, a HR officer, a finance officer. So how do we do that? And LinkedIn recently put out a study that talked about really how demand for sustainability skills and jobs is outstripping the supply. And all of you here probably are obviously in the sustainability community, but we need 15 times size of these people in the room to actually fill these roles. And one of the key rate limiters is not having enough skills for that. So ensuring that curriculums are dedicated to that. But even companies are putting time into this. Recently, Microsoft hosted a summit last week where we had a whole academy day dedicated to learning new skill sets across the business. And really kind of see more corporates try to adopt in-house skilling programs, but also working with programs outside is a key part to make sustainability part of everyone's job, and bringing that skill set into your work.
Thank you so much. Really a pleasure to have you here, Kate Brandt and Melanie Nakagawa.